2.5 years after the ouster of Hosni Mubarak, the ouster of Egypt's first democratically elected civilian president. Mohammed Morsi, under house arrest, the top leaders of his Muslim Brotherhood also behind bars, reportedly hundreds of arrests so far. The exact number remains to be determined over on Tahrir Square. Celebration, though, with crowds cheering once again the army, insisting, no, it's not a coup. Earlier Thursday, the Chief Justice of Egypt's Supreme Constitutional Court was sworn in as interim president, thanking the army for, quote, correcting the path of the glorious revolution. How long Adli Mansour stays in charge? What order will elections and the drafting of a new constitution happen in exactly? Well, the head of the armed forces hasn't yet said. We're going to look at international reactions that range from congratulations to caution and condemnation. And we're going to be asking today in the France 24 debate, what next for Egypt and for political Islam? With us to talk about it from Cairo, Hamza ZOBAA, member of the Muslim Brotherhood. Thank you for joining us from the Egyptian capital. Thanks as well to Financial Times correspondent Borzou DARAGAHI, who's covered, well, I guess you could say all the movements since the start of the Arab Spring 2.5 years ago. Here in the studio, Egyptian activist Hanna YOUSEF, welcome back. You're here at the start of the week. Yeah. Back again. The situation has changed quite a bit since Monday. It seems like a month ago when you look at the situation. Also with us, Iranian-born attorney, professor of geopolitics, Ardavan AMIR-ASLANI. Welcome back to the debate.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to as well Tunisian analyst Mohammed HNID. Welcome. Thank you for being with us. The France 24 debate, where you can join the conversation on Facebook and on Twitter, our hashtag F24debate. We're going to begin with that statement that was put out by the head of the army, General Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. He gave no timeline in his televised address Wednesday evening, but he did speak about a roadmap.
This roadmap includes suspending the constitution, reinstating the president of the constitutional court. The president of the court has to swear in front of the general of the court, and early presidential and parliamentary elections. The president of the constitutional court must lead the country until the election of a new president.
So that was General Sisi speaking late on Wednesday evening. It's now nearly 24 hours later. Borzou DARAGAHI, what more do we know about that roadmap so far?
Well, we know that there is a plan to hold parliamentary elections, a plan to hold presidential elections, a plan to amend or rewrite the Constitution. These are all very complicated steps. One of the things that's kind of interesting is this call for a technocratic cabinet. This is one of the, I think, the fantasies of people in the Middle East, that if you just get a bunch of technocrats who know what they're doing into key positions of power, that many problems will be solved. Actually, many of Egypt's problems are very, very deep institutional problems that need a lot of very, very deep political buy-in to be addressed. So I think it's going to be tough for them to address some of the root problems in this country without having actual political players in key positions who have political backing for any dramatic changes that need to be implemented.
And is this going back on the word? The implication was before that it would be a government of national unity, not a government of technocrats. Is the army going back on its word?
Well, it's really hard to see what's going to come forward, but and whether this is going back on any of its word. But the government of technocrats is what they're now proposing. Whether there will be people from various political parties included in that is not clear. I guess on a certain level they could create a government of technocrats that's also a national unity government by bringing in technocrats from the various parties. But again, the problem with Egypt is that the political groups, other than the Islamists, are not very deeply rooted in the country, and they don't really represent a lot of people. except for the Islamists. So it's going to be a real challenge to see how that turns out.
All right, so the confusion as to what happens going forth, there's not confusion, but celebration still going on Tahrir Square. We can join correspondent Kathryn STAPLEY. Kathryn, the joy that you've been reporting on all day from that square is in stark contrast with word that we're getting that an Islamist coalition led by the Muslim Brotherhood is calling for nationwide demonstrations, calling for a Friday of rejection. At this point, first of all, do we know, Kathryn, how many people have been arrested so far since the announcement was made yesterday?
Well, the Ministry of the Interior have been seemingly, they're denying that there's any kind of witch hunt, any kind of executive measures taking place as far as the Muslim Brotherhood are concerned. But there does seem to be some kind of crackdown going on. Just earlier on, the Supreme Guide of the Muslim Brotherhood, Mohammed, was arrested in the coastal city of Marsa Matruh on the north coast. There's a warrant out for his number 2, Khairat al-Shatir, and the reason that they are under suspicion is that these clashes that took place on Sunday outside the Muslim Brotherhood headquarters in Mokatam here in Cairo, there were some vicious clashes that took place between the pro and anti-Morsi camps there, and at least 8 people were killed, and they will be questioned, Mohammed Badia and Khairat al-Shatir, on accusations of inciting violence against the police and the army. Now, of course, Mohammed Morsi is still under house arrest. The army spokesman says he may be facing formal charges. We've also heard tonight that he, along with 15 other Islamists, will be questioned over insulting the judiciary. Now, also the head and the deputy of the Muslim Brotherhood's political wing, the Freedom and Justice Party, they are also under arrest. And ironic as it may sound, they are now in Tora prison, which is where ousted President Hosni Mubarak is also being held. But there are also 300 arrest warrants out for Muslim Brotherhood members. So I can't give you an exact figure, but what we're looking at here seems to be some kind of rounding up of these Muslim Brotherhood leaders. And of course, the arrest of the Supreme Guide of the Muslim Brotherhood here in Egypt is bound to cause extreme tensions and uproar among the Islamists here, who have always maintained that they will lay down their lives to prevent him from being put into prison.
All right, Kathryn STAPLEY, many thanks for that update. Again, an Islamist coalition led by the Muslim Brotherhood calling for, quote, a Friday of rejection. Let me first go to Hamza ZOBAA of the Muslim Brotherhood, who is in Cairo. Hamza, what is the state, as far as you know it, in terms of the arrests and as far as those things go? All right, we seem to have trouble with the line with Cairo. We'll try to have that fixed as soon as possible. Hanna YOUSEF, be careful what you wish for. Earlier in the week, you were saying it would be a good thing if the army stepped in. Are you pleased with the way things are going when you hear that there is the arrest of all the leaders of all the Muslim Brotherhood, when the recrimination made was that they weren't able to coalition build? It's going to be hard to build a coalition with the Muslim Brotherhood if their leaders are behind bars.
I think for the careful what you wish for, I think it's still a bit early to know what's going to happen in the next few days, few weeks, or few months. So we have the military that has removed Morsi from power and has given this power to the president of the High Constitutional Court, and we still don't know what the scenario will be with the military. So I can't really say if I'm.
But when you hear Borzou DARAGAHI saying that it's going to be a government of technocrats, which he thinks is a poor idea, that it should be a government where you have political leaders who can make tough decisions.
I disagree with that. I think for a transitional period, we have quite large problems. I'm not talking about solving the real large problems of Egypt, because this is going to take years, if not decades, to solve. But at this transitional period, we need to sort of stop the catastrophes that have already happened, the complete absence of security in the streets, the sectarian violence that is all around, and the violence between, I'll call them pro and anti-Muslim Brotherhood people. And so there are other issues as well that we have to start solving now. And at the moment, I don't see how we can find a political solution other than let's get good people to work on it, simply as that. And there are...
Well, those good people have to include the Muslim Brotherhood or the Freedom and Justice Party. If you want to...
I find it difficult to see how in the next 6 months it will be able to work and have reconciliation with the Muslim Brotherhood or the Freedom and Justice Party. That's me personally, because they had the past week, they had a whole week to negotiate, to find a solution that could perhaps be something in between. But instead of doing that, the dignitaries...
They offered an olive branch and the opposition didn't want to sit down.
The dignitaries of the Muslim Brotherhood, like someone like Il-Biltagi, says in a public speech that say farewell to your wives and daughters and die as martyrs for Islam. And there are armed Muslim Brotherhood people shooting into demonstrations. This is not an olive branch. So I believe that the Muslim Brotherhood and I believe it's good that the Muslim Brotherhood at the longer term, perhaps not just now exactly, must be included, because they are a part of society. So it's not a move to exclude them, but right now they must be removed from power.
Hamza, ZOBAA, let me get your reaction. Apologies for the technical issues we had earlier from Cairo. First of all, in response to what Hanna YOUSEF was saying, how do you stop the violence and prevent further bloodshed?
Look, we never call for violence or using violence. This is an old story. We are seeking working in a peaceful way and democratic way. We work with our people. We are calling them to demonstrate peacefully. So the problem of violence erupted because the police, the state police, has been shooting innocent people in the streets, and that's what happened. Actually, we have to blame the other party. In the meantime, we completely against using violence from any party.
All right, we seem to be having trouble again with the line. We'll hope to have that fixed. Tahrir Square the last couple of days, sort of a bizarre love fest at times between activists and the army. There have been low-flying helicopters brandishing the Egyptian flag, skywriting of a heart sign, a newfound love between activists and the army. Mohammed HNID, what's your reaction to that?
Thank you very much for the invitation. Personally, I think it's really shameful for the Arab world to assist to this piece of theater. I think this is a killing for democracy. I think that nobody will believe democracy or election in the Arab world. That's mean every time when we have somebody who is coming from fair, honest election in Algeria, in Palestine, in Iraq, everywhere in the world, we say no. We do not accept these persons, and we will have another scenario. If they are rejecting what is happening, it's not a coup, a military coup. I don't know. Are these Olympic Games or election for Miss Egypt? This is a coup d'etat. And when we are speaking about Islamists in power, have we seen in the group who is behind the military, we have seen the representative of Hizb al-Nur, which are the Salafists. So that the image be clear now. Everybody in Egypt is okay. Even the Gulf countries who invested money just to put the a Brotherhood party, Islamist party of Brotherhood in Egypt down. And we know that the Arab Emirates makes money and put money on the table just to put them down, afraid that the Arab Spring came to them. The danger is not for the Brotherhood or the party, it's for the Arab Spring itself. That means we will, that's what happened yesterday, it's a huge moment in the Arab that thinking and the political tradition today, and we will trust nobody tomorrow. This is the problem.
All right, where the Muslim Brotherhood goes from here is a question that was penned by Nathan Brown in the New Republic. He said, the tight-knit organization built for resilience under authoritarianism made for an inward-looking, even paranoid movement when it tried to refashion itself as a governing party. Ardavan, AMIR-ASLANI, the Muslim Brotherhood railroaded through a constitution, says the opposition, and had plenty of time to try to get more people involved in the process. They wasted time.
You know, François, we need to put the picture straight. We see planes flying with the Egyptian colors, helicopters, this love story between people on the square and the army. We should call it as it is. As it was mentioned by Mr. Hind, you're talking about a coup d'etat against a democratically elected, legitimate government in Egypt. The first time ever in the millennia-old history of this country, you have a democratic government only in power for 1 year. Because let us not forget that ever since Mubarak left, you had the army for 17 months running the show, and he was elected and in power only for 1 year. 1 year. And then you have the army coming in and just throwing out this government to the threshold of the rubbles of history. So this is an issue over here. And what we have over here, as was mentioned, is that what the lesson that is being conveyed is, look, people in the Arab world, you are free to choose anyone you like, as long as the person you choose is in agreement with us, with the Americans, with certain Arab countries of the Persian Gulf. What happened over here is a tragedy for the Egyptian people. I am not in favor of the Muslim Brotherhood. As a matter of fact, I'm against any kind of a theocracy or any kind of a religious movement. It's not up to me to decide who should rule Egypt. These people got more than 51% of the vote in Egypt. Now they're talking about a government of national unity. Where is the 51% that voted in Morsi? And they put behind the general who was Morsi's Minister of Defense, al-Baradei, one of the candidates who lost the elections. So here you've got the army coming in, putting into power losers and putting into jail those who won with more than 51% the entire election scope.
We're going to pick up on this point when we come back. Just this tweet to show you. The Muslim Brotherhood is back to being the opposition in Egypt. How will they be treated? The last 24 hours, not a good start, says En Manab on Twitter. Stay with us. More to come in the France 24 debate.